Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Marcos Villegas, and this is Fight Hub TV. Please welcome the man of the hour, Mr. Andrew Moloney, who is gearing up for your third fight with Mr. Joshua Franco. How are you doing, my man? It's been a while since I've chatted with you. I think exactly 7 months.
Yeah, I reckon you're about right. Yeah, I'm going great, mate. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Hey, I know the second fight didn't work out the way you wanted it to, but 7 months past that, I guess do you share still the same sentiments and feelings about what happened in the second fight?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're still mad.
Yeah, I sure am. There hasn't been a day in the last. It's actually 9 months to the day this fight is going to be between the two, and there hasn't been a single day that I haven't thought about that result. But I think that's also been a blessing because it's forced me to train extremely hard every day and motivated me. Having that in the back of my mind, I've trained so hard this last, 9 months, and it's just made me so determined to make sure that I win this fight. And I believe I've made some huge improvements because of that over this time. And at the moment, training's going perfect. I'm sparring better than ever right now. I feel like I've gone to a whole new level from that second fight, and I'm just looking forward to getting the ring now and getting the job done.
Usually, after a good amount of time, those feelings kind of like quell down a little bit, and people get over stuff. But from what you're saying, you haven't. Why is it still kind of like irking you and irritating you about what happened in the last fight?
Well, just thinking about how different things would have been for over the last 9 months if I got the result that I deserved that night. I should have walked out the ring world champion that night, and things could have been so different. I could have probably stayed more active in that time and continued to fight and provide a future for my family. But I've been sitting on the sideline for the last 9 months as not the champion and just getting ready for this fight. So um, it's just it's been a hard thing to go through, and I think people who don't understand boxing, if you tell them, oh yeah, I was ripped off, I should be champion right now, they're like, yeah, whatever. Another boxer who says that he's ripped off, but the facts are I should have been champion that night. And the only way to get rid of that feeling and to put that to rest is to win this third fight and to make sure that I come home with my title this time, and then I can put that in the past and move forward with my career, and it's onwards and upwards from there.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because a lot of people would think on the surface like, oh, hey, why is he, why is it still bothering him? But there's a lot of factors. Obviously, you've worked your whole life to be a world champion, and that hurts. But I think the other thing that a lot of people don't see is you have a family, and if you don't fight, you don't make money. And at the end of the day, you're in this obviously for legacy and to win titles and to prove to yourself that you can compete amongst the best and be the best, but you got to get paid.
Yeah, that's right. It's all those things that you just mentioned. But yes, at the end of the day, that belt is the ticket to my family's future. That belt brings me bigger fights and bigger paydays in the future, and that's what I need to provide for my family. Boxing is all I've have, and it's cutthroat, this sport. A setback or a loss in this fight puts me back a long, long way and makes it very difficult for me to provide for my family. But a win in this fight and getting that world title back, you know, really, really puts me in a great position. I'm in a great division with lots of big fights that can be made, and I've got no doubt that winning this fight will put me into some great fights and to some you know to go a long way to securing a future for my family.
You mentioned you've made some big improvements coming into this when we first started this. What are those improvements? Let me in on that.
I can't really pinpoint sort of one thing or one or two things. I just feel like everything about my game has gone to a new level. I feel like I'm any sort of weakness, a loss makes you go back to the drawing board, and I feel like any sort of weakness or or anything that I was doing wrong, I've now gone back and corrected and worked on those things. And I feel like as a complete fighter, I've just gone to a whole new level. And I believe I'm a better boxer than what Joshua Franco is. I believe I showed that in fight number 2, and I believe I'm going to show that again in fight number 3.
Now, this fight happening August 14th on ESPN Plus, not in Las Vegas, in Tulsa. Yeah, going back to the fight, the second fight in Las Vegas, I would imagine that was like not even brought to you like that. That wasn't even an option to have this fight back in Vegas, right?
I mean, I just want this fight no matter where it was.
Oh wow! So you would have taken it if it would have been in Vegas?
If that was the only option, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
But I am very thankful that it's not in Vegas. And I just hope that Oklahoma gives me a fair shake and the rightful winner on the night goes home with that belt.
Were you happy ultimately with what Nevada did and the decision that they made?
No, absolutely not. They didn't even give us the opportunity to put forward our case and to have our argument heard. They just put it off, and basically said that there's nothing they can do. They're not going to change the result. When it was black and white. For the footage we have in super slow motion from different camera angles that were shown on the night, it's clear as day that damage to the eye was caused by a punch. But they didn't want to hear about it. I think they just wanted to protect their decision they made, and which to me makes no sense, because they would have been better off saying, oh, we made a mistake and we've corrected it, than saying the whole world saw on that night that they got the decision wrong. So to stick with it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just like makes you scratch your head and like think like, why is boxing so behind with the times, like when compared to other sports? It seems like boxing, and then to a sense too, like football, aka American football. No, excuse me, soccer, aka football as well, where like they're very slow to change, and it's like those things that kind of like, I feel it gives fans a very sour taste. Like, okay, this bullshit again. Like, this is why I don't like boxing.
Yeah, that's right. And that was what the shame was in that fight, is that not just for me, but for the sport of boxing in general, is so many people saying, oh, boxing is so corrupt, I'm never watching this sport again. And as a fan, I want people to watch boxing. I want the sport to grow. And they had the opportunity that night to, with the instant replay working, to show, if a mistake is made, they can correct it. And, it would have been a great thing for the sport. But instead, they did the complete opposite and just made boxing look so bad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's one of the many things where like if you critically look at the sport and think like, why isn't there more accountability? Why isn't there more transparency in terms of like the judges and like these bogus scores that sometimes come out? You're just kind of like left wondering like, well, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But so I think, going on that, I think so many people are going to be tuning in on August 14, and they just want to see justice served. And I think they're going to be rooting for me to make sure that, cheer me on and make sure that I win this fight. And, justice will be served, and I'll get hold of that world title again. And the belt will be around the champion, the rightful champion once again.
Given that, and given that we've seen, decisions, some wacky ones in the last few months, does it give you extra, I guess, extra urgency or motivation to not let this go to the scorecards, to just, take him out?
Yeah, 100%. I'd love for, to win this fight by stoppage and have no questions asked. But at the end of the day, I also, if it does go to the scorecards, I just want to make sure that I make this win really convincing, and just so there can be no questions asked at the end of the day.
So given that, 2 fights between you guys, the second fight didn't go a lot of rounds, but you started off very, very strong, a night and day difference than the first fight. And I think you mentioned to me a few months ago, the reason why was because of your eardrum that got hurt in the first fight. How do you win this third fight?
Yeah, I mean, the eardrum was one of the factors, but all in all, I think it's that loss just really lit a fire inside of me and made me so determined to become a better fighter and to train hard every day. And like I mentioned, going back and going back to the drawing board and correcting any mistakes I have in my game and any flaws that are there. And I feel like in the 18 months or whatever it's been since our first fight, I'm a completely different fighter now and have gone to a whole another level. And I just believe that I'm a better boxer than what Joshua Franco is. I believe I was showing that in fight number 2, and I believe I'm going to show that again in fight number 3.
I would imagine you want to start off as active as you did in the second fight, being the smart aggressor that you were in the second fight, coming into this third fight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm in the best shape of my life right now. It's been a long training camp, 9 months, and I've trained extremely hard. And at the moment, I'm getting through 12 rounds with ease. And I've got no doubt on fight night, I can keep the pressure, keep the same intensity that I had in those first 2 rounds for the 12 rounds and walk out the ring with that belt around my waist.
Do you think that you'll be dominant in this fight and he can't keep up with your activity? Or on the flip side, given that this is the third fight, this is for all the marbles, and he knows this as well as, hey, this if I lose this, it's going to be a very hard road for another world title. He's coming into this same mentality as you. He's like, no, I got to go in here and throw punches and bring it to him. And it's going to be one of those, knockout, drag out type fights.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great fight. I think he's going to be more determined, and I think I know I'm even more determined than what I was in that second fight. And I believe I want this more than what he does. I think there's more on the line for me. As we mentioned, I've got a family to provide for, and this belt means everything to me. I've dedicated my life to this sport for the last 18 years, and winning this fight will make everything that I've been through worth it. So I'm going to make sure I leave that ring with that belt around my waist. And I think the fans are going to be in for a great fight. We've got 2 determined fighters who are both going to come with everything they have. And I believe the better man will win on the night. And I believe that will be me.
You were watching Barrera Morales, I saw on your Instagram last night. Do you think it's going to be something like that where it's tick for tack?
I'm prepared for that. But I believe I'm going to win this fight pretty convincingly. But I'm prepared for whatever he brings. I'm prepared, and we're going to leave it all in the ring.
Touching back on what you said earlier, you said you've been preparing for this like 9 months. That's accurate. Right. Like since you got back to Australia after you got done with the quarantine, you never stopped training. Like you didn't take a break or anything.
No, I was training in the hotel room.
Wait, what were you doing in the hotel room?
Oh, we got some weights delivered and things like that, and we were just doing some training that we could whilst in a pretty small room, but yeah, still continuing to train. And then as soon as we got out of there, straight back to the gym and using every day as an opportunity to develop as a fighter and to get better and to make sure that I win this third fight.
You must have felt like you were going nuts, like being in there in the hotel room and working on in the hotel. It probably felt like prison, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. From what I'd imagine prison would feel like anyway. And yeah, I mean, it was a long 2 weeks, especially having to think about the decision that I'd just been given over and over in my mind. So this time it's going to be a lot more enjoyable sitting back in the room with the belt around my waist, and that 2 weeks is going to go a lot quicker.
So wait, I would imagine you would have taken some sort of break. You didn't take a break at all? Like, well, why didn't you just chill for a little bit? Like, why did you decide, like, no, I'm going back to training?
Because I knew that this fight was going to happen again and that I need to win this fight. And as I said, I see every day as an opportunity to improve as a fighter and to get better. And it was straight back to work, back to business and preparing for this third fight. And I've used that time really well, and I believe I've made some huge improvements in that time, and all of that hard work is going to pay off.
Yeah, that's the right mentality to full-time fighter. There you go. That's what you are, man. Full-time fighter. Like no, always on the grind, which is good because I think a lot of times fighters, I think they'll take too much of a leisurely break and then they'll end up gaining like 30, 40 pounds, and they spend the whole camp just trying to lose weight.
Yeah, that's right. There's too many fighters that they'll only go in the gym when they've got a fight date locked in, and they'll put in a training camp of 10, 12 weeks. But I don't think that's enough time to get ready for a fight. But it's also not giving you time to improve. You're basically just trying to get fit and lose weight. Whereas I believe the big improvements are made outside of that time, where you can just work on one punch for a whole week and things like that. And yeah, I believe those sorts of fighters, I don't know how they get away with it. Some seem to, but um, like I said, I see every day as an opportunity to get better as a fighter. And I'm in the peak of my career at the moment, and I want to look back at my career in 10, 15 years and know that I gave this sport absolutely everything I had.
Would you say is the biggest improvement you've made since the second fight?
Yeah, I can't pinpoint it to one or two things. It's just overall as a fighter, I feel like I've matured, I've gained experience, and my ring IQ, everything that I'm doing in the ring has gone to a whole new level. I've really sort of found the style that I want to fight. I feel like in the past I was a little bit confused trying to do too many different things, whereas I've really got the style that I want to fight in my head now, and sort of boxing, that style to a T. And the way I'm sparring at the moment, I'm boxing better than ever right now, and I'm just looking forward to bringing that to the ring on August 14th.
Yeah, I've seen that from fighters that they're stuck between two styles, and they're kind of like struggling with like a ring identity where like they feel pressure to fight one way but they want to fight another way, and like they're kind of stuck where it really like hampers overall how they approach a fight and sticking with the plan in a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's been a big thing. I think in that first fight, I was a little bit confused about how I wanted to fight, what style I wanted to bring to the ring that night, and it was just an off night for me, for multiple reasons. But as I said, that fight really sort of took me back to the drawing board, and I believe I've just gone to a whole new level now. And some 18 months later, I believe I'm a much better fighter than I lost that lost in the ring that night. I believe that right now, the improvements I've made, I believe I'm a much better fighter than Joshua Franco, and I believe I'm going to show that on August 14th.
Based on what you're saying about how you're looking in sparring, do you think you end up stopping Joshua?
Yeah, I really think I do. That's the way I've been envisioning the fight in my head, and I keep seeing myself winning by stoppage. Um, and I believe I have the power to hurt him and to stop him. Whether he likes to admit it or not, that I was damaged from a punch, and that was only in 1.5 rounds, or we went two, but the eye was damaged in the first round, and so I got no doubt if we got 12 rounds that I can inflict enough damage to stop the fight.
Yeah, if you get a stoppage in this fight, it's going to send a big statement because you're in a division that has a stack. It has a lot of big names. Chocolatito, Gallo, Estrada, Sor Rungvisai. Those are the other three big names in the division. I gotta imagine if you get like a knockout win, that's like a perfect segue into big fights with those three guys.
Absolutely. And again, I'm not looking past Joshua Franco, but those are the fights that I want to be involved in. They're huge fights. All those guys are legends of the lightweight divisions, and it'd be a dream come true to share the ring with one of those guys, and to beat one of those guys, creates a big legacy for me in Australian boxing, and that's something that's really important to me, and that's what I'm striving for. I want to go down as one of the best Australian fighters of all time, and I need to be in fights like that to make that happen.
Did you watch the second fight between Roman and Gallo? I'm curious, like, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I did. I watched it live. I haven't watched it again since then. I remember thinking on the night that I thought Chocolatito probably just edged the fight. But it was definitely a fight that could have gone either way. It sort of depends what style you like most. But yeah, I remember thinking that Chocolatito was going to edge the decision. But a great fight, and looking forward to seeing their trilogy fight as well.
Yeah, no, it was really close. I felt that Roman won because I felt like he did better overall, but I do remember Gallo was having his moments, and I think as the fight progressed, he put together a lot of punches where I was thinking like, oh, okay, like he's gonna probably win this round because it looks from the outside like that's a more damaging punch being landed.
Yeah, I think it was definitely looking back, like thinking back to it. It was a long time ago now, but I felt like on the night that either guy could have got the win, and they probably neither of the guys really deserved to lose that night. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing their trilogy fight, and then if all goes well, I'd love the opportunity to fight the winner of that fight.
Yeah, no, like you mentioned, Australian boxing is really on a high right now. You got your brother. You have George Kambosos. You have Tim Zhu that's
Yeah.
coming up as well. We haven't seen this much talent from your country in a long, long time. Like, what do you think is attributing to that right now at this point?
Yeah, I think Australian boxing's in a great place at the moment. We've got a lot of great talent coming through, and that's what's important to me, especially in this fight, is to win this fight and to show the other Aussies that it is possible to compete at this level, and to fight on the big stage in America, to headline shows and fight for world titles and to win. Because that really will give the up and coming fighters in Australia and the other top level guys the confidence to do the same, and really help grow the sport in Australia. So that's something that's very important to me.
And I think the other thing that you're doing, and I think that George has done as well, is that you're willing to leave Australia to come over and fight internationally and fight over here in some of these fighters' hometowns and very dangerous fights.
Yeah, that's right. And America's the mecca of boxing. This is where everyone wants to be. This is where, us young Aussie guys dream of fighting one day. And I got the opportunity to do that. And, winning this fight and headlining a show in America again is a dream come true. Um, and then I do still want to, have big fights in Australia and help showcase the skill that we have down there. So winning this world title back will be a big step towards doing that and to, bring big fights back to Australia. But I do still want to continue to fight in America throughout my career. As I said, this is the mecca of boxing. This is where all the big fights happen. And it's a dream come true for me to be over here fighting and headlining shows.
What do you think about your countryman, George Kambosos Jr. fighting Teofimo Lopez? Like, how do you see that fight?
Yeah, I just hope that fight's going to go ahead at this
Yeah, I
stage.
know, right?
It looks like there's a lot of things getting in the way of that fight
Yeah.
happening. So I hope it goes ahead. Um, but it's obviously a big mountain to climb. Teofimo is a great fighter. So there's no doubt it's a very big ask, but it would be huge for Australian boxing if George can pull it off. So I'll be cheering for him.
Obviously, no, you're going to be pulling for your brother and the man that's from your home country. Hey, my man, it was good chatting with you, bro. Really good seeing you. I know it's been just a long journey for you to get over, and it's crazy to think too. Like since the first fight and now this fight, it doesn't seem like it's a long time, but it seems like we've lived through like 3 lifetimes of like crap that's just like happened. Like I don't know if you've like sat down and thought about it, but it's like holy crap, like a lot of stuff has happened since that first fight.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think it's like 18 months in between, for that first fight and this one coming up. So it's been a long time. It's been a roller coaster journey, ups and downs, and a lot of time training for one guy. So I'm looking forward to putting on a convincing win, getting my world title back on August 14, and then not having to think about Joshua Franco again.
Yeah, hopefully nothing crazy happens. Hopefully there's no fourth fight. We get a conclusive winner on this fight. That was Andrew Moloney speaking about his matchup coming up with Joshua Franco August 14th in Tulsa, Oklahoma on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Andrew, thank you so much.
Thanks for your time, mate. Appreciate it.